I know I'm in the same clothing from the video on The Secret History by Donna Tartt. Listen, I have time to mass film. We all have time right now. So let's just roll with it, okay? To round out the videos that I've been doing on books that have impacted my psyche, my psychological abilities, my mental, that took a while, and emotional state, I want to conclude with a book that was inspired by a movie. So I say it that way because I wanted to read this book because I saw the trailer for the movie and I thought the trailer looked so cool, like unique and different, and I was interested to know what was happening, and it looked really cool, and I was really interested in it. I'm a bit of a purist. Like, if there's a movie coming out and I know that there's a book about it, I'm going to read the movie before I watch. I'm going to read the book before I watch the movie. Whew. And I've done that in a lot of cases, and I think it's the right way to do that, to read the book before you watch the movie. There are some cases, like Ella Enchanted or The Hobbit, where they're so starkly their own thing that you probably could get away with watching the movie and then reading the book, or doing one or the other and not be a big deal. However, I think that you should, in general, always read the book before you watch the movie. Always. My squeaky chair. Generally, the source material is where it's at, right? So I read this book, and I will not be watching the movie. Not at all. Although, I do have to say, Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick are really enjoyable to watch on screen, and I just need to make a call for my sanity, and I won't be watching that. So I'm talking about Simple Favor by Darcy Bell. So I read this book last summer, and so I'm not going to remember all the details of this. It's a short book. This book is about 298, so just about 300 pages. I want to make a note here that Darcy Bell is a preschool teacher. There's nothing in this book that's like horrifically gory or ridiculously gratuitous. But the nature of the story is really intriguing to me for a preschool teacher to write about. So let me read the back of the book to you, as I have been for all of my other ones. The most recent ones. Okay. It starts with a simple favor. An ordinary kindness mothers do for one another. When glamorous Emily asks Stephanie to pick up her son after school, Stephanie happily says yes. Emily has a life that would make any woman jealous. She's the perfect mother with a dazzling career, working for a famous fashion designer in Manhattan. Stephanie, a widow with a son in kindergarten, lonely in their Connecticut suburb, turns to her daily blog for connection and validation. Stephanie imagines Emily to be her new confidant and is shocked when Emily suddenly disappears without a trace, leaving her son and husband with no warning. Stephanie knows something is terribly wrong. Unable to keep away from the grieving family, she soon finds herself entangled with Sean, Emily's husband, reticent British husband. Emily's handsome, reticent British husband. I am just stumbling with words. But she can't ignore the nagging feeling that he's not being honest with her about Emily's disappearance. Is Stephanie imagining things? How well did she really know her best friend? Stephanie begins to see that nothing, not friendship, love, or even an ordinary favor, is as simple as it seems. So, like, it sounds fun. Like, it sounds like a good mystery, a good thriller, like a good romp. Like, I'm down. However, underline that one with a big red marker. I don't like the characters. I don't like any of the characters. I think Stephanie is wishy-washy. Her self-esteem is so low. I think Emily is pretentious. I think she's arrogant. I think she's full of herself. I think Sean is kind of just caught in a bad position. I don't like any of the characters. And I feel really bad for the two boys, Stephanie's son and Emily's son, because they're just in this horrible situation. This is a story that every other page has a twist and turn, which keeps it really engaging, you keep coming back, you keep wanting to know what's going on. When they find a body, you think, oh my gosh, this is Emily. When it's not confirmed that it's her body, but it looks exactly like her, then you're like, what's going on? When Stephanie starts receiving phone calls from Emily's number with Emily's voice, then she starts getting really confused, and it's this unraveling of sanity throughout the book. I think Darcy Bell does a good job of writing this. I think this is a perfect story that her writing fits for. So one of the things I really liked about this book was it's written from a third person perspective. And so there are sections where we are reading Stephanie's perspective, then we're reading Emily's perspective. And so then we get to see each of the characters in that different light. There's a book that I just finished that kind of did the same thing, and I really appreciated that. But what's frustrating, or what made me really frustrated as a reader, I'm also a very picky reader, and if I don't like the characters and I don't like how they treat each other, then I'm in it. I'm reading the book more so because I need answers, not because I want anybody to win or succeed. What was frustrating was that, so Stephanie's presented in one way, you're reading her blogs, you're like, okay, this is her personality, this is her character. Then Emily sees her in another way, and as you're reading this, you're like, oh my gosh, she's so right. So then you can't stand to read the next section from Stephanie's perspective. So then you begin to really wrestle with all the characters. Sean doesn't do a good job of standing his ground. So I don't want to give a spoiler away, but he knows a lot about the situation and he's not saying anything. Ultimately, the situation unravels farther than he ever knew. Emily is in control the complete entire time. And so then Sean is left just kind of in this horrible position. I didn't like the characters. I think Stephanie had a good heart, but she was too lonely for it to do any good. And when you're lonely and you're still kind of grieving, I think that's when you can kind of have the tendency to be clingy to people, because you need somebody to fill that loneliness and help the grieving hurt less. We learned secrets about Emily's life, we learned secrets about Stephanie's life, and we kind of learned that right off the bat it was not a good place for them. Excuse you. Sorry, the cat's being dramatic. You don't need to play with that. This is the cat's room, so her litter box and her food is in here, so I have to keep the door open. She's going to be irritated when I exercise in about 20 minutes. Anyway, lost my train of thought. Yeah, I didn't like any of the characters. I take a shot every time I say that. I thought, okay, the main point though is Darcy's writing is really good. She does a really good job of creating Emily as this glamorous woman that all women would aspire to be like, or would feel really intimidated by when she walked into the room. I think she does a really good job of creating Stephanie as this woman who is doing her best just to truck along after her husband has died, and is doing her best just to survive, and how she kind of clings to Emily. And Darcy does a really good job of kind of developing this codependent, one-sided relationship that comes across as two-sided. She does a really good job of writing the perspectives of both characters. But I do have to say that this book kind of really, because of the constant switching of the perspectives and learning how each person sees the other person, it didn't sit well with me, because then I couldn't get along with the characters, one, and two, and it made me really frustrated, like, how do people see me in real life? If I think I'm doing something one way, and I think I'm doing it the best way that I can, like, how do people see me? Do I come across as clingy? Do I come across as needy? Do I come across as somebody who, am I intimidating to other women? Am I, like, all of these questions? And so it's good for self-reflection. I enjoy that self-reflection, but I didn't really need this book to make me do that. So I've talked about 13 Reasons Why on here. Old videos. 2 years old? 3 years old. Wow. The thing with 13 Reasons Why that I was trying to bring up, and I'm hoping I remember the same thing, is it made me think a lot of really negative things. So I began to think of watching that show, and I talk about this in that video. I began to think of questions like, what would people see in my life if I were to pass away? Would people, like, care if I died? Like, really deep questions that I shouldn't be dealing with, you know? I mean, good things to think about, but you really shouldn't need something that is mentally and emotionally and psychologically negatively impactful to make you consider those questions. I mean, I guess somebody might say that you do. I would argue that no, you should never be. If protecting your mental and emotional and psychological health is not important to you, well then fine, go ahead, explore those avenues to have those questions. If it is important to you, guard that at all costs and explore those conversations in other ways. And so this book does a lot of those similar things for me. I don't remember the questions that it was making me ask myself, but I remember feeling in this state very similar to watching 13 Reasons Why, of just sitting in a space in my head that made me think about a lot of things, a lot of dark things. This was another book that my boyfriend at the time, my now husband, would constantly ask, why are you reading that if it's making you this way? Why are you reading that if it's affecting you this way? Why don't you just stop reading that book? And the question I just kept answering because I needed to know what happens. And I think this was the book that kind of drilled it into my head that if something is impacting you and you're having a negative reaction to it, and you're not deeply invested in anything and you're just reading it for answers, then you need to step away. And it is okay to not finish a book. I finished this book. I hated the ending. I hated it. If I already didn't like Emily at the end of this book, I loathed her. But I finished the book. Haven't read it since, and I want it out of my space. I want this, The Couple Next Door, and The Secret History out of my space. Darcy's writing is good. Did I say that already? I don't remember. I was just on a phone call for work, so I don't remember if I said that Darcy's writing was good. I liked her writing. It was a really good read because of her writing. Yeah, her writing is good in that it does describe each character very well. And it does set up the suspense and the thrill and the twists and turns in a jagged, unexpected, smooth way. it's a very well developed storyline. It's a very well done story. I mean, some of the things in there are kind of cliche, but they're cliched and then they're taken to a very unique spot. And so I did appreciate that. I think she was a very good writer in that regard. But I didn't like this book, and I won't be seeing the movie. Like, I would love to be able to write a book like this in the way that it's constructed, in the way that it's unique, in the way that the ending is totally different, in the way that it's not what you would expect, but I'm over this book. I would love to know if you guys have read this book. What did you think of it? What did you think of her writing? What did you think of the characters? Did you like Emily? Did you like Stephanie? Did you like Sean? Did you like the ending? I would love to know if you saw the movie. What did you think of the movie? Did you like the movie? Did you see the movie before you read the book? Like, so all standard book questions. I think that's it for now. Thanks for hanging out. Also, still no tea. Was not drinking any tea. I didn't drink at all this video. And I'm thirsty. I can feel it. So, yeah. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you in the next one. Ciao for now.